Well, hello and welcome once again to Crazy Comics and Stories. It's me, your shining and...
Start again.
Once again to Crazy Comics and Stories. It's me, your charming and delightful old Uncle Rat Bastard. And at the other end of the series of tubes and wires that we call the internets is Joe, Crazy Writer. How you doing today, Joe?
Now you folks see behind the scenes why it takes us 4 hours to record this 1 hour podcast. Because
usually 90 minutes to 2
hours. We start off and we're talking and talking and talking. And then we say, oh yeah, we got a podcast to record. I just think we should just record the whole thing and let it roll. But, you know, we do have some semblance of professionalism.
Why, yes, we do. As a matter of fact, Joe, on July 13th, your world is about to change.
Oh, big deal. You're going to a little con in a backwards burb of Minnesota.
Blood runs cold.
Oh, yeah, definitly in the wintertime. They're a little colder than we are. But it'll be summer. It'll probably be like now. 90 degrees, heat wave. I woke up early this Sunday morning to thunder, and then I'm like, oh, that probably means Cory wants spod.
You're missing the entire joke.
I am, but because you've run it already. I mean, I come to the conclusion for long-term listeners, I think we're going to get a Joe Prize. Now, you know what a no prize is, right?
Yes.
Yeah. It was a thing that Marvel Comics used to give out. Not at first it was like for pointing out errors, but then they changed it to don't explain that we have an error, explain why it's not an error. But
actually, I'm in reading the real early Fantastic Four letters pages, they didn't give no prizes until it was that you had to explain why it wasn't an error.
So for me, I figured the Joe Prize will be is if you go back through the 9 years, 400 plus something shows and find out which one we referenced it to. Because I know there's things that we've talked about and it's, you know, sometimes it's fairly recent, sometimes it's ages ago. Sometimes it might be brand new. But we will have a new Joe Prize. And if anybody does email us or contact us and say, yep, the last time Cory talked about that was in this episode. Because Lord knows our crack staff isn't going to do it.
We have a crack staff?
We got cracks.
Well, I think they're all on crack. No, the reason I'm using Glacier is because remember when Glacier debuted, it was kind of a fart in church. And no one cared. So me returning to a con, yeah, no one cares.
Well, that's because you're going to a little itty bitty weeny con. Now, if you went to the MCBA con, you know, even the smaller version, like the Fall Con, the One Day Wonder, October 5th, 2019, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at the Minnesota State Fairgrounds Education Building.
Because you need to get educated.
And it's like 33,000 square feet of comic book mayhem.
And it's where they used to do the Fall Con.
I know. I mean, it's just amazing how big the Fall Con getting. But there's no information yet. But always keep an eye on their website, www.mcbacomiccons.com. Now, see, that would be a big deal because not only will I have to stop answering the question, where's Cory? Where's Cory? But I also have to, I mean, you're one of the founders. I mean, you'd be revered like, McDonough and Wilson as a god. You'd be getting free. You'd get free food. You'd be able to wander the grounds as the people whisper in awe and look at you and don't approach Mr. Strode. Please do not look him directly in the eye.
I think it'd be more like if Willie came back, people would go, "Who's that?"
No, it wouldn't. You can belittle it all you want, but believe me, I've often thought of just having people, you know, hey, Cory, where are you? Where are you? But I don't have a card with the mega trilobites necessary to record all these people that would want to know where you are.
I got a better idea. Make up something every time. Where's Cory? Oh, he died on the Titanic. Oh, he was in that Malaysian plane that
No,
vanished.
see, what you're missing is I would have to have a card catalog as big as Bob Hope's jokes in order to cover all the different answers. Not to mention, wait a minute, you said last year he was on the Hindenburg. Well, he got better.
Oh, I like that, the Hindenburg. Oh, the humanity.
Humanity. But as long as you broach the subject, tell the good people where you will be on the 13th of July and how they may come to see you and get a rare picture. I mean, this would be like spotting Sasquatch.
I will be at the St. Cloud Library Comic-Con. We are going to be live streaming it either on Facebook or YouTube, one of the two, so you can watch us. We'll be recording. I've been looking, and the only people I know who will be there are you, me, maybe whoever rides with us, and Stephanie Cofell. There'll be face painting and cosplaying and the library, and I don't know why I got talked.
Ooh, librarians. Well, like I said, if we get there and
librarians worked out well for Adam Vermillion.
Oh, sure, I saw that. But yeah, if we get there and you know it's a fun little show, we will look at what we're going to look at, and then I got plans, big plans, tremendous plans, and if we don't do it that day, we'll do it the following weekend. And my goal, and this will be kind of our Summer Geek Tour, is, let's call it Summer Geek Tour 2, the Electric Boogaloo. We've talked, we've gone to St. Cloud, we've geeked around town and hit all the comic stores and half-price bookstores and stuff. We've gone up to Duluth. And there's a toy show today. I want to get this podcast over with and go to it. So I like toys. But there's a lot of shops and things in southern Minnesota. I'm talking like the loop from down 61 to LaCroix over to Rochester, maybe as far as Albert Lee, because Albert Lee had a Comic-Con last couple of years. And I'm just going to Google and try to figure out which ones are actual comic shops versus like a game store type thing. I don't know if you're into game stores as much. I don't mind looking, but my gaming days are long over. And I figure on the way down, we'll do like we've done in the past. We'll record, we'll give our impressions, or we'll just ignore it all and do it the following Sunday. So if you know of a store in that triangle of southern Minnesota, let us know.
Triangle of Terror?
No, that's the Northwest Quadrant. We don't talk about that since the incident. So, anyways, for a Comic-Con on comics, or a comic podcast on comics, we haven't really talked a lot about anything yet.
Well, we could talk about, you know what movie I'm not going to see this weekend, Joe?
The live-action Mulan movie that's replacing Mushu and made changes to the original songs?
No, the Avengers Endgame re-release that has one of the extra scenes that will be in the Blu-ray that comes out in a month.
I probably will see it because I've only seen Avengers once. And usually on a big show like that, I like to see it a couple times. Because usually the first time I see a movie like that, you're watching, if Captain's talking, I'm looking at Captain. Black Widow's talking, I'm looking at him or her.
Him?
There's a lot about her.
Scarlett Johansson is definitely not a boy.
Hey, I saw the Robot Chicken thing where Scarlett Johansson had a giant Johansson. So don't tell me otherwise. Are you telling me Robot Chicken's a bunch of lies?
Yes.
And next thing you're going to tell me Stan Lee was not the showman of Marvel Comics, even though Jack Kirby was the soul.
No, Stan was the editor-in-chief and pretty much the driving force because Kirby created stuff no matter where he went. So Kirby was the kind of the art guy, and Stan was the guy who sold it. Because if Kirby didn't have somebody to help him sell, we saw over at DC, they didn't help him sell. And while the stuff was brilliant, it didn't last. So...
oh, God knows people played in that toy box just like they did Marvel.
Well, they still do.
Yeah.
And if you look at Kirby's early career, he had Joe Simon. Kirby just did the work. He needed somebody to handle the business stuff and talk to the basically talk to the people in charge. That's why you had Joe Simon. That's why at Marvel you had Stan Lee. And he hired a couple of kids to try and do it at DC, but DC was such a mess that he did his 5 years at DC and created billions of concepts for him. Not literally, but it sure felt like it. And, the one that lasted the longest was Commandi, but they have been mining his work ever since. See, you mentioned Kirby, I go off on it.
I know. If I do that 2 more times, we'll have a podcast.
I think we already have a podcast if we were to talk about the Avengers movie, which we kept promising and promising.
Yeah, no, I was going to say I only saw it once, and when I see it the second time, I will look at the secondary characters. Like, okay, what's Black Widow's reaction to the Hulk, or what's going on in the background? Maybe I will spot the Howard the Duck with his Rob Liefeld sized gun in the final battle. So just go to look at the little details. The fact that they added extra stuff will be kind of a bonus. I may not see it. My plan is to initially go see it tomorrow, but tomorrow is another day, and there might be other things going on. I might do like I did last night and just stay up all night and watch stuff. But we'll talk about that in the future. Foreshadowing. It's called a cameo. Yeah, we usually when a big event movie comes out, and I mean really the Avengers, I cannot think of another movie set or series where you have over, was it, I get the numbers wrong, 12 years, 22 movies? Is that right?
11 years, because Iron Man came out in 2008.
Oh, and the fact that every movie, although they're marginally tied and they share the universe, you could watch any of those movies, and except maybe Avengers, and never watch the other ones nor care. Which is something I think Marvel did by design. They wanted the Iron Man franchise to stand alone. They wanted the Captain America, the Thor, Guardians, definitely Black Panther. And we've talked in the past about how, the actors are committed for 7 movies, except Robert Downey Jr. They just said, we got 2 semi-trucks full of $100 bills for, where do you want them? Throw them in the pool. So for me,
and have we discussed the origin of the Marvel movies that much?
This is a good chance for someone to give us a Joe Prize for going back and seeing if we did. But if we didn't, let's do it anyways, because you're talking that'd be 2008.
Because I've read up a couple of books on the movie industry and how it's changed over the last decade, and the way they talked Perlmutter into allowing them to set up their own movie studio was toys.
Well, I read the book about how 2 men fought over Marvel Comics and lost.
Yeah.
And I don't know the title. And I believe it was, I say his name wrong. Shocking. Ari Arvid?
Yes.
He actually, Perlman liked the Hollywood aspect of rubbing noses with celebrities and things like that.
Yes.
But he was not, he understood the toys, but he didn't get the movie aspect of it, which is why they gave away X-Men so cheaply. I don't think Marvel made any money off the X-Men franchise from Fox.
They made enough money that it pulled them out of bankruptcy. Everybody forgets that Marvel was in bankruptcy, and then in '99, it wasn't the publishing that pulled them out. It was the license fees they got from the X-Men movie is what they were able to use to get out of bankruptcy. But in 2006, they had the Spider-Man movies, they had the X-Men movies, and they were making money for other people. And every time they tried to start up their own movies, Perlmutter would complain about the cost.
Yeah.
Because he's a cheap bastard. But he would complain
about
about
Marvel's
the cost.
ever had a problem with that.
Yeah, Marvel's always been a bunch of cheap bastards. But they eventually talked him into it, saying, all right, we bring these movies in cheap, we throw in a bunch of stuff, and we release them so that by Christmas they're coming out on DVD, and DVD was huge in 2008-9. They're coming out on DVD, and we could have a toy line in the stores for Christmas.
Now you're currently on the roof of the Strode compound, right?
Yes.
I can tell because there sounds like there's a big windstorm going on in the background.
Actually, it's a fan because it's over 85 degrees in the house.
Yeah. I was going to say what we haven't talked about. We're having, for as cold as it got a few months ago, what is it, 90 degrees out?
Yeah.
And we just had, like I said, we just had a run of thunderstorms come rumbling through, which is really weird because they came from the east, which is usually I don't even know
bad sign.
Yeah, it wasn't bad for us, but I think Wisconsin got nailed. And I don't even know, did it make it as far as Chaska?
No, it didn't.
Yeah,
supposedly the heat is going to break late today or tomorrow, but we in Chaska here are under an excessive heat warning. Yesterday, I guess the heat index, which is where they take the regular temperature and then add in the humidity, was like 105.
Yep. So just a quick weather forecast.
But they basically, the way they talked him into it was through, well, we'll be able to sell toys, because at the time when a movie came out, they would sell a ton of toys. And that's how they talked him into it. And then the movies started making enormous amounts of money and drew the attention of Disney, who then bought them up. And Perlmutter was very happy and is still a cheap bastard, which is why every so often it's like, hey, look, Marvel's selling off all their stuff in their inventory for 10 cents on the dollar.
No, I don't think Perlman won, because him and Eichmann started fighting over Marvel, and they lost.
They lost the movies.
They lost the whole fucking company.
No. He's still in charge of the publishing.
Are you talking Perlman or Arvid?
Perlman.
Perlman's
still in charge of the Marvel publishing. That was part of the sale. And the reason you know that is because every time they mention that he's one of Trump's friends and is unofficially advising Trump on things, they say he runs Marvel publishing. But they just say Marvel, and people say, oh, he's in charge of the Marvel movies. Oh, no. Kevin Feige shut the publishing arm completely out of the movies a few years ago, which is why and Michael Bendis went over to DC. He was upset that he'd contributed so much to the Marvel movies and got shoved out of it. And DC said, well, we have a brain trust over here that's going to help with the DC movies. Come on over, bring your Jinx World stuff. Come on.
How's that working for you?
Well, the Jinx World stuff does really well. His run on Superman's selling pretty well, and he's in charge of the big. How many big events is he in charge of so far?
I don't know. I do gotta say, when I see his name on a book, I am willing to try it. Although I'm kind of bored with the Superman stuff. I don't know. Maybe it's just not hitting me right. Did that Leviathan crossover start?
Yes.
See that I'm missing that issue. I got to go out and hunt it down. I think I accidentally put the check in the wrong line, because I suddenly got two copies of the same issue in the Superman run, and I'm like, wait a minute, I thought there was a crossover coming. So, to the comic shops.
Da-da-da-da-da.
Boy, we're never going to get to the Avenger movie, are we?
That's what always happens. But the Avengers movie has been re-released.
We could just use that as a starter for every podcast from here to the rest of the year, and just never really get around to talking about it. It's like I said, usually we try to get 4 or 5 people together and have a big talk over, but it was kind of weird. The timing was weird because you were having your cataract surgery done, and I went into seclusion because I didn't want any spoilers given out. And by the time we got everything coordinated, it had been 4 weeks, 5 weeks, and we're like,
yeah, I couldn't see it until they had completed all my surgery and I'd gotten. My eyes had healed enough that I could get glasses. But I actually sent you a note this
week. Free comic book day. We went up. We were like, Cory, you're like, because Butch was like, I thought we'd get together and talk Avengers. Oh, Cory hasn't seen it. You're like, go ahead and talk about it. No. We're not that big of assholes. And you were cool about it, but we didn't. We kept our mouth shut.
But one of the things that I sent you for this week that we could talk about is, now that Thanos is no longer the big bad, Who should be the big bad for what is it? What do they call it? Because it's 4. Section 4, story arc 4.
Phase 4.
Phase 4.
Whatever. Yeah.
Phase 4?
I would say...
That means the bad guy has to be hyper-intelligent ants.
I would say...
Wow! Joe's never seen that movie.
Nope, there's a lot of things I haven't seen.
The movie in the 70s called Phase 4 about hyper-intelligent ants.
I actually... no, you got raccoons pissed at you. We're not going to let you get the ant world mad at you. So shush, shush, shh, sip it. No, shh, shh. Anyways, Kang. I think he would be a brilliant behind-the-scenes guy until he finally mushrooms out in... I don't even know if they're going to do any more Avenger movies. Yeah, but he could be kind of just a little bit, kind of way Thanos is, just kind of show up. You know, us fanboys are going to go, da, 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 and the rest of the world's not going to know what's going on. They're going to go, here's the things you need to know about Kang before the final battle. Because they also opened up the whole time travel worm, and that could be the opening to bring him in. In the meantime, I could see, and this is assuming we get a Fantastic Four movie, I'd like, you could see Magneto come, you could see Doom, Galactus.
That would be mine. Either Doctor Doom, and, that leads to a Fantastic Four movie, because Doom, when done right, Doom is a really formidable opponent. As long as they don't do like Jim Shooter did, where he does all this stuff. Now I'm at the Latvian embassy. Nobody can touch me. Da 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 da. Like Bart Simpson did at the in Australia.
I'm amazed you could draw so well on your butt. No.
But I do like the idea of Galactus as well.
See, those are more up front. You need a guy in the background because you also got to deal with Earthbound stuff, but also cosmic stuff. And I just think Kang would work better as the overall trying to get things. Plus, he could also, if you wanted to, I know Chris Evans says he's done, but if he decides, I think I want to don Cap one more time because my career is done like David Caruso's, and after I gave everything up, we don't know. I'm just teasing, but Doom, I like what you said about like Doom being present, but of course I'm trying to think way back to like the early FFs because Doom was just there, right? He suddenly, boom, Doom attacked the Fantastic Four for whatever reason. And same thing with Magneto. In the early issues,
he was in upstate New York. He had a castle in upstate New York. It was later that they said, no, that's in Latveria. And he's the leader of this country, and his people love him. But outside the country, they all know he's terrible. Those early issues, his first appearance in Fantastic Four #5, they literally said upstate New York.
I got a better idea. Why don't we just have Spider-Man fight Doom for the first time? And that could be kind of the introduction. He did that in his own book.
Yeah, but if you read that, it's a little silly because, Spider-Man basically fought him to a standstill, whereas the Fantastic Four were beaten by him a few times. It's like, well, you're kind of messing with the power dynamic here.
Well, not really. Spider-Man's done some pretty amazing things. He fought off a Galactus Herald. Of course, they were under mind control at the time, but he also fought the Fantastic Four to a standstill. He fought the X-Men almost to the point of they were frustrated because they couldn't stop him. It took Professor X to mind zap him. Spider-Man, when he's in his groove, he is. I think the only one that couldn't defeat him would be the undefeatable Squirrel Girl.
She did beat him.
She did?
Yes.
Yeah, see, nobody defeats her. It's
the unbeatable Squirrel Girl. And I love how whenever anybody brings up the character, Will Murray, co-creator of Squirrel Girl, will actually step in at whenever she's brought up. If somebody says, oh, she couldn't blah, 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 he will step in and say, you realize she's the unbeatable Squirrel Girl. It's right there in her name.
Yep. Even Wolverine had a pause when they met each other again.
Now, we did ask Dan, because I sent out the list of how about these villains? Dan said, Thanos.
Yeah, I mean, he's just a one-track mind. Now, about the movie itself, I was able to go through it without a pee break. How about you? Because that was a big controversy. Oh my God, 3 hours, 3 minutes, or what was it? I forget.
I had to go to the bathroom at one point, but
Water. I went in. I didn't have any breakfast. I had water, and I was really hungry, so I scarfed a Kit Kat bar. One of those big ass Kit Kat bars. And while I had to go, I didn't. I was able to go through the whole thing without a problem, and that includes all the way to the Iron Man banging noise at the very, very end.
See, my thing is, if I go to a movie, I programmed in me as a child. You have soda, you have popcorn. That's why.
I'm not big on the popcorn. Soda, I don't like.
Movie popcorn, I've learned the secret of making it at home, by the way.
Well,
coconut oil.
Shh, it was supposed to be a secret.
Yeah, too bad.
Great, now you got the popcorn people pissed at you.
No,
I'm telling you, there's going to be another incident.
The coconut oil people love me because now people are going to go to the food mart and buy themselves some coconut oil. They actually have butter flavored coconut oil.
See, you're way too suburban in your movie going. I mean, if I go to a movie, I got to decide: do I want to pig out and get the whole hamburger, have a couple, hard apple ciders, or do I just want to, have the fried donuts, or just maybe do a pizza or something? I mean, the Oakdale Cinema out here, they actually, it's like it's like bar food, They
have the whole setup at the theater I go to too, but it's like, I don't want to be eating in the dark and
you're getting old, Strode.
Tray.
Listen, he can finally see what he's eating, and I don't want to eat it. I don't want to do this.
You can't see what you're eating. There's no tray, so it's sitting in flash.
Actually, see, now that's where I go, there are trays. So you're at the wrong.
This is a brand new theater, and they don't have trays. They do have the heated recliners.
Oh, yeah. Do they have a bar?
Yeah.
See, that's what I think is nice. And we were talking, again, a Joe Prize, if anybody wants to go back and figure out when the hell I was talking about it. But Chris and I actually got there early once, and I forget the movie. But we talked to the bartender, and they're like, oh, yeah, you can just come in, say you want to sit in the bar. If you drop the kids off at a movie and don't want to see the movie, if you want to come and watch the football game, So, the bartender looked very bored. But we've been there other times, and boy, that place is hopping. So I think it all depends on what's going on. So I saw mine at the Ultra Screen, which is, bigger than life. I think the IMAX is the only thing that's bigger.
Yeah.
And it was Monday. I remember bitching about it too, because, the lines were so big trying to get in. But to me, it was, I got to admit, when I finally saw it, it was like the end capper. This was like the final chapter of the book. And I know they're adding scenes, and they're trying to, I even commented at that to a few people that, this does seem like a closing, like the end,
yeah. It really felt like this is the end. And I guess the Spider-Man movie is kind of the epilogue, because the ads have been showing that Nick Fury says, look, Iron Man's not here. You're all we've got.
Now, I will say, local celebrity guy Jason Matheson got to see the press preview of it, and he's really good without giving any spoilers out. He says there are two scenes, a mid-credit and an after at the very end.
Yeah.
Because he hates the fact you got to wait 6 minutes to see the damn thing. He said the middle one is going to make geeks' heads explode. So apparently Marvel is well aware that people are thinking like me. I have almost no intention of seeing Spider-Man, although I will. And when we get to geeking, I'll tell you why. And it's like, now we got to reboot and get going again. Because I've already seen, like, they're talking, we got 5 Captain Marvel movies going. We know Black Panther. We know yeah, they haven't officially announced it, but they are working on Black Widow, Doctor Strange. Now, the question I have, were there any parts during the movie that you were like ready to just get up on your seat and yell? Like for me, it was the end when all the, Captain America gets up, he's got half a shield, and he just starts walking toward Thanos.
Yeah.
Now, see, I knew this scene was coming because there was something that everything was reset, and I go, oh my God, all the heroes are back. And I'm like, how the hell are they going to get there? And of course, when all the Doctor Strange portals start flipping and all the heroes come on. And I swear I did go, yes! Fortunately, it was very loud, so no one else could hear me. Oh, it was just that to me. I've talked about comic book moments. That was a comic book moment on the screen. And the look on Thanos when, he's going from one guy to boom. And it was great because this is a Thanos doesn't know who the hell these people are. Remember, he's the one that journeyed forward. Well, maybe he knows it in a way you and I would read the paper, but he doesn't realize, all the heroes are gone. No, all of a sudden he's facing an army. Fortunately, he brought his own army with him. So this was just like the opening bell, to use a reference from wrestling.
I think I talked about this when we kind of went over it non-spoilery. This felt like two movies.
Oh, yeah.
And it was that kind of, to my mind, really helped it feel like an epic. The first, it wasn't a 3-act movie. It was more of an epic where the first half was dealing with the aftermath, seeing that there was a plan. Oh my gosh, we have to go and do this. Then when they did all that, then we got a second movie, which is how are we going to use this to fix the problem? And I liked the fact that it felt so big. One of the things that I think is really hurt movies over the last 20 years or so has been movies feel more and more like short stories rather than novels. If you go back, especially movies in the 70s, they feel like novels. They take their time. They have secondary characters. They have subplots. They take time to let you get to know the characters. Whereas once you got to the 80s and they decided to speed everything up, I think, who was it? There was a screenwriter who said when he wrote movies in the 70s, it was okay for the first act to be 15, 20 minutes. Now, if your first act goes more than 5 minutes without the inciting incident, studio executives will start leaning on you to edit. This felt more like an epic, like you're reading a novel rather than a short story, which is boom, 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 boom. And because you had so many characters you had to touch on, I like the fact that they took time for each character.
Well, and they also gave us what we wanted. They went after Thanos. They found him. They defeated him. And it was kind of like they defeated Thanos and realized they were still defeated. And then they went into, I listened to people bitch about, oh my God, Fat Thor.
I love Fat Thor. I love Bro Thor. Thor was amazing.
What was funny was that the Big Bang Theory had a thing about going to see the Avengers movies, and they're all talking about, yeah, we want to see Thor's abs. The girls are all drooling. You didn't see it at all. I thought Iron Man was just a big asshole. I mean, where he's, all pissed off because, Captain America was defeated. I'm surprised Cap didn't just wipe his face off. He has no idea what the fuck was going on Earth, being that he got bitch slapped and was left in space for months.
Now, here's my question, Joe. And everything I've read is they touch on this in the Spider-Man movie. But they made the choice to, we're bringing everybody back after 5 years rather than we're going to bring them back now.
I think that allowed us to realize when they finally did come to the conclusion, we have a way to undo this. It brought the seriousness of the action, but it also allowed to introduce Tony Stark's daughter.
Right.
Which again gave you, just because you can doesn't mean you should. Really, just think of how effed up the Marvel movie universe is, where all of a sudden all these people who you think are dead for 5 years and you're grieving and society's had a terrible hit and you're probably, amazingly nobody fought a war over it and destroyed the earth, but you're just coming together and all of a sudden, boom, all these people are back. That's quite a concept to wrap your brain around, and they really don't deal with that. I don't know if they do in Spider-Man, and really
they say they deal with it in Spider-Man, but I kept thinking, okay, 5 years, you've moved on.
Yeah.
Let's say you were married to somebody and they turned to dust. 5 years later, it's like if your spouse dies. 5 years later, you have a whole new life. You may have remarried. Your spouse is back. Well, now what?
I saw that in Castaways, so it's not entirely a new theme in movies.
Not a new theme in movies, but think about
a whole society.
Yeah, the sociological implications of that happening all over the world. Or, there are people who, when I got married, I was in my early 20s. By the time I was 30, I was a very different person because you change a lot, in your 20s. Let's say you have people who were together and then 5 years later, one of them's 21 and one of them's 26. And that one has aged 5 years and gone through all sorts of things and grieved. And now the person you were with is back. And they haven't changed at all. Especially, high school kids or parents who, they lost the child at 12. They've aged 5 years, and now they have their 12-year-old child back. I think on a personal level, I think what Tony Stark did was kind of selfish, which of course fits the character. But on a sociological impact, oh my God, I can't even imagine, let alone the fact that Earth's population went from 7 billion to 3.5 billion. So we would have completely changed. Imagine New York City has half as many people in it. What that would do to the economy, what that would do to farming, what that would do for infrastructure. And then suddenly it would be like our first population doubled today. Not, over time, today. You would run out of food in grocery stores. Just on a practical level, you'd run out of food in grocery stores. There wouldn't be medicine because you'd run out of that.
So what you're saying is what some of the articles said. The Avengers are the bad guys in this one.
I don't think they're the bad guys, but I do think, that's a mess. That's a sociological mess. And hopefully they touch on it because, yes, yay, everybody's back. Wakanda's been without a leader for 5 years, Joe.
Well, I don't think they've been without a leader, but we don't know. We haven't seen what's going on. I mean, they seem to be functioning pretty good, especially, that was pretty much afterwards. We were showing, running around. Carol Danvers is up in space. What about the earthquakes underneath the sea? That's being taken care of. Could that be the Submariner? Interesting.
Here's another thing. Captain America changed time. We've seen, we had the Agent Carter series.
But we didn't.
That means everything in the Agent Carter series didn't happen.
Not necessarily. This is where you got to get yourself a Nobel Prize and figure out how it did take place. Because we didn't see it. That's the thing with the series. There's so many things we don't see that we don't know. I think the better argument would be, how could Cap just lay low for all those years and not do anything, not
Yeah.
Not stop JFK from being assassinated. Not get involved in the Cold War. Not, although we don't know, maybe this could lead to, maybe there was a 50s cap, or maybe there were, kind of like with how they retro continuity all the Captain Americas since, he was gone in ice. So maybe they did just keep it low. He said, here's the deal. I got to be low. You cannot talk about me. I don't know if that's possible humanly, but, this is comics, movies. It could. Now, I've heard, I'll just tell you some of the criticisms I got just from people. And most of them are pretty stupid. Like this one, which I could tell, coming from misogynistic people. They didn't like the women teaming up for the big fight. And, of course, I geeked out on it because I'm looking, A-Force!
Yep.
Which I absolutely loved.
And I also think, that's really cool for, the audience. Because here's the thing about the Marvel movies. It has a huge female fan base. Huge.
Oh, yeah.
I would even guess it's bigger than the male fan base at this point.
That does lead to one of the moments of the movie when Thanos realized he was not going to get a clean kill. And I forget what he said, but he ordered his ships to start striking the Earth. And in the middle of it, and this is just because I'm a fanboy, and I'm like, okay, where's Captain Marvel? And all of a sudden the ships just all stop and point into outer space and start firing. I go, oh yeah, she's here.
Yeah.
And normally it annoys me to second guess movies like that, especially when, all the heroes are coming back. They just blew it because they everything back the way it was. I think it was Thanos that made that mistake. And then you realize, oh my God, he doesn't realize what he just did. All the heroes are back. And I was just waiting for them to show up. Even to the point when they got to the end and you saw the look between Doctor Strange and Tony Stark, where Doctor Strange just lifts his finger. The one chance.
Yeah.
And, you hated to see it. And I got to admit, I was a little teary. But, boy, when he, I'm inevitable. And nothing happens. And then he says the line, I am Iron Man. Click. And everything comes back.
Yeah, I thought, excellent movie. If this was the last Marvel movie, I'd be okay with that, really.
Yeah. And
they did an excellent job of bookending everything.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I had fun. I had a blast. I don't think we'll ever see a franchise, and this includes Marvel, again, have that much excitement, that much craziness where you tie in all these dispersed movies together. And yes, Howard the Duck's part of it. It's continuity. Deal with it. Don't be dissing on Leah Thompson, especially not from '86.
Oh, she's still pretty cute.
Oh, hell yeah. That was my one disappointment when she was in the Howard the Duck comic, that they didn't do a photo cover. I'd have been all over that.
So, now, one of the things that I'm reading is we don't know what we're doing with the X-Men yet. We don't know what we're doing with the Fantastic Four yet. It will take our time to integrate them into the Marvel Universe. Yeah, you said that about Spider-Man 2 and then had him pop up in Civil War.
Yeah.
So, while I don't think they'll be showing up in Spider-Man Far From Home unless there's some sort of post-credit sequence, they're going to be showing up sooner than we think.
Oh, yeah. And it'll probably be even just an off comment. They got these people popping up like mutants all over the place. It's going to be an off comment.
Yeah.
Kind of like the one I mentioned earlier. No, don't worry about Underseas. It's being taken care of. Because even Black Panther was a blip on a map before we actually met the Black Panther.
Yes.
So the Easter eggs will be there. They might even be out there now. We just don't know. Now, how tough was that opening of Avengers with Hawkeye?
I thought it was perfect. I thought it was absolutely perfect in that it was small.
Yes.
The end of Infinity War was huge. You know, it was monstrously huge. And what you have to do, you know, you could have gone to New York City and shown the destruction. But if you bring it down to just one character that we care about and show that loss, it's the old quote from Joseph Stalin. Death of millions is a statistic. The death of one person is a tragedy.
Now, did you see Ant-Man and Wasp?
Yes.
See, I did not see that movie, but I did go and watch the end of it because it was on Netflix for a bit, and that was a killer too. You know, because people were talking about, well, I think Avengers is going to deal with time travel because of what happened to Ant-Man, and I'm like, what happened to Ant-Man? And what was great about the movie, Avengers anyways, is I didn't need to know what happened to Ant-Man to go with it. I mean, I pretty much figured it out. He was caught, and when I finally did see the scene, I was like, wow, that had driven me to a nosebleed frenzy had I seen that in the movie theater. So they did a great way of just tying it in. I mean, I am excited to see what Marvel does with the next round. And like I said, I'm excited to go see the Avengers again just because I've only seen it once. And usually epic movies like this, I'll see a couple times. Not like, I think 8 times. I think Gruber's seen it 8 times already.
Wow.
He's hardcore. I'll have to call. I'll check on that one.
See, I'm to the point where I used to be somebody who would go see movies in the theater over and over. I don't do that anymore, mostly because of the cost, but also partly because Avengers is going to be out on digital release in 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 4 weeks from now.
See,
it's going to be out on DVD and
not the same. I got a good
6
TV.
weeks.
Nope. I want to see a big screen one more time. The theater, I don't. Despite its whatever, it's a definite difference. Again, and it's not a debatable thing because it's a personal preference.
Right.
Big ass movies like this, I want to see. Whereas a movie that's coming up like yesterday, the one where the guy wakes up and nobody remembers the Beatles except him, which is kind of an interesting comment because in my fantasy world where I'm the big rock star, nobody remembers the stars I play or the songs I play because I made them. That's a movie, and my wife and I do this when we see the previews a lot of times. We kids see that in the theater. We still went and saw Bohemian Rhapsody. We still saw Elton John's movie. I can't remember what it was called.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
And honestly, I mentioned yesterday, but my wife and I do want to go see that. So, I mean, but for the most part, Godzilla has to be seen in the theater. Although, and again, when we get to geeking, I'll talk about it. If you got the right big screen television, it's probably very similar. You know, you're going to have fun details. I mean, you got 4D, and I've got a big 1020 by 5 billion whatever pixel. You know, it's going to be good. But some of this, and again, I might not even see the Avengers in the theater ultra screen. I just want to see it in the theater one last time. I'll go to a matinee too. It was a lot easier when I was off on Tuesdays, so I could just go see cheap movies.
See that thing about seeing it a second time? Well, if I'm going to see a movie a second time, I want the commentary.
Well, we could make commentary. We probably get kicked out, but we're the only people there.
The theater.
I mean, I was the only person when I saw King Kong Lives.
I think the only movie I saw where I was the only person was Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. I wasn't the only person when it started. There was an older couple in front of me. And, I'm a huge Terry Gilliam fan, and I've read Hunter Thompson's works and everything. And at the time, I liked Johnny Depp. So, I'm there for the movie. About 20 minutes into the movie, the woman from this older couple gets up and leaves. The man sits there. 20 minutes later, she comes in, sits down, and you hear, she leaves, and he gets up, and you can see his head's down, and he's slowly walking out.
Uh-oh.
So he was supposed to be as offended as she was. But yeah, if I'm going to see a movie a second time now, I want commentary or I want a director's cut or something like that. Otherwise, I'll just watch it on DVD. I'll just throw it on. There are some movies I watch every year. I watch Animal House every year on Christmas. I watch Duck Soup every year on New Year's Eve. Those are movies that I can enjoy over and over and over and over and over because they're comedies and you're always seeing new parts and you look forward to the funny bits. But like a Marvel movie, second time I see it, I want to see it with commentary. Third time I'm going to see it is after a bunch of movies have come out so I could go and see, oh, okay, yep, they foreshadowed that. That's an Easter egg. There's this. Rumor is that there is a single Easter egg in the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie that no one has found yet.
And that's something, too. After I see the movie, I run back to the interwebs and, okay, Google Easter eggs and just spend the next hour reading all these things. After a while, you get to the point, knew about it, saw it, knew about it. But boy, I don't want to see any of those beforehand. I don't even want to see. Sometimes I'll read the ones like, here are the things you need to know before you go see the Avengers. Knew it. Didn't care. Oh, that's a minor point. I'm a bit of a snob when it comes to that.
So you said you're not going to see Spider-Man, huh? I'm going first thing 4th of July.
I didn't say that. And I my problem is I have no idea when I'm going to see it.
Oh, okay.
I do want to see it because initially I was, like I said, I'm kind of like, I think I'm done with Marvel movies. And then I see the trailers. I'm like, no, I'm not. Plus, and now I don't know if this is true or not or just some fanboy making this stuff up, but there's a poster out that says Spider-Man Spider-Verse, July 2021.
Yeah, that's fan-made.
Okay, because, you and I have talked about that. Good Lord. If I was doing it, I'd be like, okay, Toby, Andrew, hell, Nicholas Hammond's still around. You guys are going to make one last appearance. And somebody else thinking like we did. Don't forget the Spider-Man of Electric Company. Thinks and thoughts. Which is too bad. But, that would just be a brilliant way for Sony to tie in all the movies because really a lot of people go, I just have to watch the new Spider-Man. Forget about the other three. But to tie them in such a unique way where you're like, you know what? These did matter. So you want to go back and look at them. And Marvel, I think Marvel should do that with some of their other ones. I keep laughing, Howard the Duck's canon. But you could, if you bring Wesley Snipes back as Blade or if you don't want him as Son of Blade or whatever, just these movies are there. They did matter. I like Alan Moore's thoughts. It's your job to figure out how they all fit together. Especially the best movie of all time that we reviewed.
The Fantastic Four movie.
Oh, Robert Corman. Yeah, exactly. I bring him back. You know what? Here, do what you can with the X-Men. We'll give you $1 million budget.
You know who doesn't have to wait 3 hours to go to the bathroom?
Hang on, I'll get it. Run the sponsors. I'll get it when we come back.
Promotional consideration is paid for by the following sponsors. Our first sponsor is DreamHost.com. DreamHost.com has been with us since the beginning. They're the best web host in the whole known universe. And if you need a web host, and you do because, Facebook, Google+, everything gets hacked. But if you set up your own web page, it'll never get hacked. Unless you kind of make some mistakes or pick an easy password like password. But still, you can have your own web page. If you use the code KRAYZ, K-R-A-Y-Z, you get $20 off your first year. When you're at the office, do you often run to the vending machine for snacks? Those things are terrible for you. Instead, have snacks delivered to you. So go to Graze.com. Graze.com has healthy snacks that you can decide what kind of snacks you want, how often you want them, whether they get delivered to you, or if you choose them every time. I myself get the subscription box every 2 weeks so that I have healthy things to eat when I'm at work. You can get a free box by using the code CORYS3R5P. Matter of fact, use that code your fifth and your first box are free. Again, that's CORYS3R5P. 5p. If you'd like to advertise on any of the Solitaire Rose Podcast Network shows, you can just send us an email at solitairerosenetwork@gmail.com. Thanks. And as long as we're into plugs, here are mine. The Solitaire Rose Radio Network has all sorts of podcasts. We've got Scrabbling Across the West with Dave Cafella and his lovely bride, Stephanie. They travel across the country playing musical gigs, and at night they sit down to play Scrabble and talk about their day at scrabbling.solitairerose.com. There's Novelcast over at novels.solitairerose.com, where I take the novels that I've written and turn them into audio podcasts. Currently, we are doing a novel called Do the Job, which is a murder mystery set in the world of 1980s professional wrestling. Then over at badadvice.solitairerose.com, me, Cory Strode, and Wolfie B. Bad, along with Dan Moore, give bad advice to people who send in questions. That's bad advice over at badadvice.solitairerose.com. The Solitaire Rose Radio Network is growing. Be there! You think NBC will get mad I used that? And now...
But these guys are sponsors. I got it. It took me a while, but I finally got it.
And now Joe's favorite part of the show. No, not where I pause so we can go to the bathroom.
Oh. That's a good thing I got this cup with me.
It's Joe. What's going on the eBays?
I don't know what's going on in these. I swear, I got more people contacting me. Please pack the comic securely. Please put it between two pieces of cardboard. Please. There must be just a lot of cheap people out there that are just throwing the comics in a bag and shipping them. I've had that a few times. It's a minor miracle that the post office hasn't destroyed it. I talk about for all the time. Yeah, if you want to sit and cut cardboard, or you want to just take your chance and get bad feedback or get a return or whatever, I use Uline Box S165, which fits most magazines, definitely all comics. And all the comics I ship, I bag and board just as a courtesy. Usually if I do like big sets, I don't necessarily do bags and boards for all of those, but I will bundle them together and I'll make sure it's tight so there's not a lot of give. So yeah, I don't know what's going on here. I've got well over 5,000 feedback, so I'm doing something right, folks. So if you care, give me a call. Things that I did sell this week, like Cory, do you remember from 1973 the Trigger Twins?
Yes, that was a DC book, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it was only one. Yeah, apparently it was a reprint from an all-star Western back in 57 and 58, and Western Comics from 60s. Wayne Trigger runs the general store and his brother Walt is the town sheriff. But as twins, they can trade places when the need arises. Whew. Well, I don't know why DC did a one-shot reprint of it, but Powwow Smith, the Indian lawman who uses the skill of generations of Sioux hunters to track the bad men of the West. Trademark, maybe?
Yeah,
I don't
probably.
know. For some reason, I had a copy. I ended up selling it. I did sell a copy of Sonic X #5. That was when Archie had, I don't know if they still have the license to do Sonic comics. Yeah, I think they do. But Sonic X was another one of the video games. And some of them are pretty pricey, especially the #1s. This one just, I don't know, went for $6 with shipping. Not a big deal. I sold a Fathom limited edition retailer cover. And I sold something I thought I would never sell. This one goes all the way back to the heady days of American entertainment. Cory, tell the people. Oh, I forgot. Get the shiny dime. You got change for a quarter? Anyways, does Cory know what is or was American entertainment?
They were a mail order company that ran tons and tons and tons of ads in Marvel Comics in the 80s and 90s. They also would have special covers. They were one of the first companies to really get into that, I do believe.
Yeah, and I believe they were the ones who pissed everybody off with Marvel Mart, weren't they?
No, that Marvel Mart, I
themselves.
think they may have been Marvel Mart, but it also may have been Heroes World.
No, I think you're right. It was Heroes War because American Entertainment, they would run big ads in the comics. You could get all these
Back
different,
issues.
yeah, and they had their own catalog that they would mail because this was before the interwebs were big, folks. And I was surprised because I've had this book in my collection for God knows how long. It was published in '97, and it was The Coven from Awesome Entertainment. And let me see if I can get a synopsis of this. Let's see. It was from Awesome, which was when Rob Liefeld took his ball and went home. He created his own, well, a couple different companies. Awesome was one of them. The Coven, Angels Against Demons, Heaven vs. Hell type series. It's more in common with Doctor Strange and Marvel horror characters. The Coven are phantom, half-human vampires. There's spellcasters, which are White Witch with Owl Familiar. Oh, whatever. There's 2 versions. There's a lot of comics. Anyways, I had the American, actually, it was a Wizard Authentic cover from American Entertainment. This you bought through Wizard, but it was put together as an American Entertainment exclusive cover, and then Wizard had writer Jeff Loeb sign it. Limited edition, certificate of authenticity, all that fun stuff. I had this thing forever. And when it sold, I was actually a little bit of a heart tug because it was like one of the oldest books that I bought in my collection. And I must have had it. I don't know if this was a mail order, mail in the coupon and get one, or if I got it directly from American Entertainment, or if I picked it up in a collection. But it predates all the way back to Hot Comics St. Paul. And now here we are in 2019. After holding on to this book since 1997, I found the right person who wanted it.
Well, that's good.
That's what it's all about. That's what's selling on eBay. That's what I love doing. And I've got all sorts of stuff up. I'm going to talk a little bit more about it when we get to freaking. But check it out, KRAYZ. Come get some.
And now we get to my favorite part of the show. No, not where I end the podcast and go watch the 3 wrestling shows that dropped over the last 2 days. Ooh, AEW, New Japan, and Ring of Honor?
And
no.
I get a chance to ask you, we got news that 2 of the old school guys are back in WWE, and I don't know if they're writing, performing, or doing anything. Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff. Oh, cool. See,
we might as well jump into that now then.
Yeah.
They have been hired to be in charge of those shows. And in both cases, it means they are working with the network. They're overseeing the shows. They're kind of like the manager of the shows, not the on-camera GM. Nope. They were hired to kind of oversee processes, to really to oversee processes. They're, quote, in charge, unquote, of the creative, but Vince McMahon always has final say over the creative. But especially in Eric Bischoff's case, he was hired to work with the network, so that they're coordinating things with the network. They know what the network wants. The network communicates through him as to what they want to see in the show, especially since the story is Fox wants SmackDown to look very different when it goes to their network in October. They really want it to be visually different from Raw. So they were hired to do this. From what I hear, they've been trying to get Paul Heyman since January, according to PW Insider, and the Bischoff coming in was much quicker. It's been like a month or so they've been working on that deal. But it's going to be interesting because one of the things Vince has been doing over the last 6 months is bringing in older wrestlers, people from the past for creative. And while I haven't seen any difference in the shows, they're still what they were. It's almost like he's putting everything in place to kind of go back to the 90s in a lot of ways. And maybe it's because he thinks that when the XFL starts, he's going to be busy with that. Maybe he's seeing that the ratings are sliding and it's like, I better do something. but we'll see if this makes a difference. Heyman's on-screen role is not going to change. He's still going to be the advocate for Brock Lesnar. I've heard both that Bischoff will not be an on-air personality and that he will be an on-air personality. So I guess we'll see.
And I'm kind of intrigued because I think Paul Heyman could book anything. Bischoff, last time he was with WWE, had some really interesting stuff happen.
However, he did not have any say in the booking. He was just a performer.
All I could think of is when they did that goofy gay wedding thing, and he shocked everybody by pulling off the old man makeup, and he was the guy doing the officiating. It's kind of an invasion type angle thing, and which I thought was pretty amazing. I mean, that was so. Again, I haven't watched wrestling in ages. I didn't watch anything on WrestleMania, so, and I have yet to jump on board with what Cory's talking about. Just it's a time thing, you know. I need time to do it, so it'll be fun to see what happens with this. And I'm sure if it's that good, we'll be talking about it.
But it's time for Freaking and Geeking. Joe, what are you freaking on?
I'm getting old. I just
noticed that now?
Well, what I noticed is part of when I eBay stuff, I like to put things, say what year it is and if it's a first print, and all that information is in. Okay, we'll do this for the whole quarter, so you don't have to break it. What do they call that goofy thing in the comic book that has all the information as far as what the comic book is?
In the comic itself?
Yeah.
Narration?
Recap page? It'd be like what year, what page, what issue number, is it a first print? Thank you. Okay, you don't owe me change for the quarter because you got the first one right about American Entertainment. You thought I wasn't going to pay up, did you? I can't read that shit anymore. I had to go get me an magnifying glass. So I got this little square thing, so now I can actually see it when I'm trying to read it. Because I do like to make sure it's a first print, make sure the date's right. I'm getting old, Cory. My wife's like, why don't you get reading glasses? I said, I don't need reading glasses. I just need it for the few times when I got the comics sitting in front of me and I cannot read that little tiny print, especially when they do something stupid like put red print on black background. Anyways, on a more serious note, my wife was involved in a hit and run. Some dumbass. Okay, I'm not going to swear anymore. We've already said a few Effenheimers, but there are these kids that they race up and down the busy street here. I mean, pass in the right lane, cut over when there's like 2 inches of space between cars. They've passed me dozens of times. Usually I'm on my way to work. I just drive slow, drive my speed, let them do whatever. Well, one of these bastards hit my wife and then drove away. My wife, to her credit and probably shame, actually started chasing this dumbass. Got the license plate, but as she was talking with the cops, they're like, just stop chasing him. If I was in that mindset, today's freaking would be, you know what, this guy hit me and I ran his fucking ass down. But Miss Manners wouldn't approve. I spent like a long time with a car without a horn, so I drive so defensively. But this just angers me. And of course, cops, why did we even get the license number? You got this guy's number. Are you going to do anything about it, or do you even care? Or does it have to wait till they kill somebody? I do got to say, I haven't seen him running up and down since, but it's just a matter of time till somebody gets it. The car will be fixed. It's going to cost us $250 because of that's the hit and run deductible. Again, if you want a Joe Prize, you can go back and see when some bitch blew into my truck and took the quarter panel out. Another hit and run. The sad thing is that this asshole is still out there racing around in his car. Maybe it was stolen. Maybe that's why he's racing. But I'm the one that's got to pay this shit. It's like when I had my car ripped off way back when I had Hot Comics. Oh yeah, I had to go pay the towing fee and had to pay to get it out of the towing lot. I was the victim, and then I get victimized again because I got to pay for all this shit. Meanwhile, on Hipwatch 2, Electric Boogaloo, I have figured out that I will have about 80 hours of sick time out of the 320 I'll probably need. Well, actually, it's sick and comp or sick and vacation time built up, and that's assuming I don't have any more sick days. Which, yeah, right. A diabetic with rheumatoid arthritis, yeah, not going to happen. That's also assuming we don't have any more cons coming up. I'm off the weekends currently, but if my schedule changes, whatever. I am working comp time still. We're recording this early morning on a Sunday, which is amazing because you'd think usually I'm sleeping. This is my beddy by time. Because we'll talk about when we get to geeking, because I like to do things like stay up late. silly Joe. But part of it's going to be, again, this is a kudos to Cory because we're recording this Sunday. He's going to play with it all day Sunday and get it in some type of form to listen to on Monday. Eventually, we're going to have some time where we can catch up, and the shows won't be so timely, but Cory will record them. He can relax, come back to them later. So anyways, just, if you think about it, think about the poor Strode slaving over this hot podcast and his baking compound, or not. Go out and enjoy the weather.
Baking? I should get some baking.
How you doing? Nothing like when your house is 85 degrees.
Fire up the stove.
400. I got some pies to make. Come on. So in the meantime, if I can't get the time off, I'm just going to build up the dollars. So I may be putting some stuff from the vaults onto the eBays. So check it out. And of course, you as the good listeners, like I see, I'm still talking eBay. You see something you're interested in, and you want to make a deal, give me a quick call, quick email, or whatever. I'll especially if you say I have a soft spot for the listeners of our show. I've been known to do crazy things like free delivery. Heck, I had one guy buy something, and I said, you know what? I'm giving it to you for free. I'll pay the shipping. See, I'm just, there's a reason I'm called crazy. So that's pretty much it for me. I mean, I don't know what else I can freak on except, we'll talk about that next week. Cory, see, that's called foreshadowing. What are you freaking on?
Well, first off, the group home that I worked at, the compound that they had the 4 cottages on, has now closed. It was a little emotional for me to leave my final shift. I've been working at that facility for 9 years. I'm still working for the same company. The houses they have are all beautiful. When I was putting them in to my Waze app so that I could get directions and everything, this house recently sold for $500,000. Whoa.
I'd buy that for $1.
But still, the Crows were my friends. I was used to that drive. I've been there for 9 years. And it wasn't just me. When my first shift at the new home, where I will be doing 2 weeks of sleep shifts, one of the clients, when I got there, was sitting on the couch, had been refusing to eat, take her meds. She had her eyes closed and her hands over her ears and wasn't responding to anyone because the strain of the change was just too much for her. And we have all these new staff who are they don't know anything. What do we do? Let her be. She's overwhelmed. No matter what you do, no matter what you say, nothing's going to change. So just make sure she's safe. Make sure that, when she does want something, you're there to give it to her. If she's there all night, she's there all night. But, people don't like change, and she's really, really bad with it. Now, the good thing is the second night, she was already, had her routine set up in her room, I think, she has this little boom box that she listens to at night. She wanted me to turn it up all the way so everybody in the house could share her music. And it's like, no, they want to sleep. They want to sleep. Okay. For me, oh, look, here's this. We have this wonderful couch down here you can sleep on. And it's, one of those couches where the two ends are recliners and everything. It's leather and it's hard as a goddamn rock. Oh, that was not a comfortable sleep. So I did bring in my inflatable mattress, which, inflatable mattresses aren't great, but boy, it's a lot better than sleeping on this couch that's as hard as some people's hearts.
Going to harden my heart, going to swallow my pride.
When I came in last night, the client who's going to have the downstairs bathroom, he'd spent the week with his dad. He was back last night. He was asleep on the couch. Sitting there asleep watching PD live. So, took me an hour to get him to wake up and go into his bed. By that time, I was exhausted. So another week where I'm doing the sleep shifts. It's kind of way up north. It's about a 45-minute drive from my house. It's where I was going to be a full-time staff doing sleep shifts. And we'll get to the geeking part. But the second thing is, Joe, you go on and on and on and on about Dunkin' Donuts, right?
Dunkin' Donuts.
They're a bunch of goddamn liars.
Hey, as long as their donuts are fine.
Well, they're not, because they're building one here in Chaska, and they said, oh, it's going to be open in May. Oh, okay, cool. And then this week, it's like, I'm going to be, it's my week at work. I signed up for overtime at the full-time job without knowing I was going to have to do this. So all week, basically, I've been getting home at 7, getting around, getting everything ready so I could go to work at 9. I've had 2 hours. So this weekend, it's like, I just want to get some donuts. I'll go to the new Dunkin' Donuts. And I double checked, it's going to be opening May 16th. Well, May 16th was last month. Cool. Go to the Dunkin' Donuts website. Is the Chaska Dunkin' Donuts open? Why, yes, it is. It's open 24 hours and it has a limited menu, but it's open. So I drive to the Dunkin' Donuts after my shift. There's still a fence around the building. They haven't completed the building. There's no signage. It still has, when they're building a new house or something, they've got the Tyvek where it actually will say Tyvek, 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 Tyvek. And then they take that and they use it for indestructible comic book covers for people to destroy. But drove there. Nope, they're not open. The website lied. The sign out front that said they would be open on May 16th lied. Lies, lies, lies.
Yep. Not like Tim Horton, come in, tease you, get you hooked, addicted, and now, you're going to have to come to Canada.
They're all liars. Joe, what are you geeking on?
Oh, all sorts of fun. I hope you guys got your copies of Marvel Comics Presents, because Wolverine's daughter is in it. Holy cow. Issue 5, 27 bucks on the eBays, and that's just like an appearance.
How
Issue
much
6.
It's at 5. It's just a hint at her, and 6 is what she appears.
6 is at the $50 range.
Jeez.
And the other ones are going for an okay penny too. I actually saw a copy of 5 sitting on the shelf, but it looked like somebody had rubbed it under their arm or something. And I thought, and I did see the appearance thing, so it just goes to show there are, if you're a speculator out there, there are things to speculate on. And of course, if it does hold true, it is indeed Wolverine's daughter. Well, we know how well the Sun thing went, but that's a different subject. Different, I tell you.
I do like the fact that they didn't hype it in,
yes.
That one of the things I have trouble with Marvel is that they hype. Nope, this was just, probably want to buy Marvel Comics Presents. And then they drop in, the guy who wrote the Hamilton musicals doing a story in it. And now it's, Wolverine's daughter's in it. I like the fact that they're doing that because it's like anything can happen. You could get surprised. We don't have to build it up for 3 months and they have big arrows and stories in the New York Times. So there you go. Next.
I need an Electotron. That's the
I don't even know what that
That's the Ecto-1 Ghostbuster mobile that is a Transformer.
Oh.
I'm not even sure where it comes from or if it's real. But I do need one. X, gotta be from, I bet you it's a San Diego thing. I'll have to check that out. Anybody going to San Diego? I got a list of exclusives I want. Oh, I really want. Anyways, my sister come back from Italy, and of course, one of the things I always ask people I know when they go to another country is to bring me back a comic book. And much as I love Spider-Man comics and Star Wars and Superman, it doesn't necessarily have to be that. And in this case, my daughter brought back my daughter, when she was there, got me the Marvel Star Wars #1 back when that was happening. And she also got me they said it was the first time they had ever reprinted Amazing Fantasy 15. Guy might have been just selling the comic to her, but it was a comic from the 70s, so it could be accurate. These I cannot read because I don't read Italian, so I'm going to go over and bring her some beer and say, read to me. The first one is called Blex, Editorial Dardo. And, it's all Italian. #5 from 1991. So I don't even know where they come from. I didn't get a chance to see her. The other one's called Tudo Miki, and it's got a cowboy with an Indian and a knife. Let's see, where'd the other one go? The other one was looks like Daniel Boone facing down some redcoats. So, and these are smaller digest size. They're kind of cool. And then the other one I got is called Splatter, Il Primo Horror Magazzino Italiano. And it's really cool because one of the demons on there has got boobies. And they're looks like it's facing down Ash, but I think it's just a guy that looks like Bruce Campbell with a chainsaw because he's not wearing it as an arm. You open it up, and there's a lovely gore picture of a woman who looks like she's being dismembered or chewed up by something. Phantasmagoria. And it's all black and white comics. It looks like it's more of a black and white magazine. I'll have to page through it, but it's pretty cool. And I love this stuff. So if you're ever thinking of going to a foreign country and you think of your old pal Joe, just let me know. I've one of these days they're sitting in a box behind me, but I will put these on the eBays. Not on the eBays. Forget it. Put it on the Facebook so people can look at the different ones. I recall the first one I got way back in the 80s, and it had to be pre-83. But I was at Boy Scout camp, and I met an Israeli scout. It was the first time I'd met anybody from Israel, and we talked quite a bit, and I realized I really don't know a lot about what the hell's going on in the world. And when he asked, he was going to swap stuff, and, well, not really swap, he just said, if there's anything you're interested in, he took names, and a couple months later, I got a package in the mail with some badges from scouting in Israel, and an Israeli comic book, Popeye, all in Hebrew, and of course you read it right to left, and just a lot of fun. And that's what started me buying just different comics. I've never really been to a foreign country, and I try not to buy them just off eBays. But if somebody's actually been there, it's kind of fun. Like I said, it's part of fun to have a collection and share it and stuff. I kept talking about movies and stuff. When I got home last night, I said my wife was gone this weekend, and so what I figured. And Cory's busier than hell. I mean, it's amazing we got time to do the podcast when we did. But I was like, okay, if I stay home, I'm going to do something like every single half price in town, blow about $500 when I'm trying to save money to get my hip done. I really don't need it. So what I did is I went in and I worked overtime. So instead of just staying home and sitting around in my underwear, scratching myself like I am now, I actually went to work, did some overtime. And then I figured when I got home, I'd hit Arby's and hit a few hard ciders and watch the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse movie, which I did not see when it came out over winter because, as you know, I was getting my first hip done. I had heard such awesome things about this movie, and I got to attest, because it's in the Geeking column, I enjoyed the living bejesus out of this movie. I don't know how accessible it would be to a non comic fan, although it did do pretty good business. So maybe it would be okay. I mean, they explain things pretty fast, especially when it comes down to different Spider-Man and things like that. It's on the Netflix. I've got me my 55-inch television, so, and that's like I was saying earlier, if you get the right TV, I suppose it is almost like being in a theater. The only thing I need really is a better sound system, because too many times when the sound starts getting soft like this, it's hard. I was like, what did they say? And you're just using the speaker that's with it. So I did, however, do some minor geeking, because I just can't help myself. There was a shop I talked about on the mini haha strip, and I don't know if you've ever been there, Corey. Have we been into Heroic Games?
Yes, we have.
And then next door to it, there was a place called Strange Boutique.
Yeah, we went right next. We did go next door.
Now when this podcast drops, they will have closed. They announced that they are closing. And when I went in there, it was tons of people. When I went there a while back, it was more like he was creating art out of, I don't know, antiques and trash. There were some really unique things there, but I think a lot of his artwork's gone, because when I went through, it struck me a lot like a secondhand shop. Some really cool stuff. I mean, I let's see if I can find it here as I dig deep into my treasure trove. I did find a $6 million man Bionic Bits cup. This was a cup that you got because it was sweetened, obviously food, all natural bite-sized cookies, sweetened with brown sugar and honey, no preservatives added. And I'm trying to find a date. Hey, look, I got a magnifying glass. Did I tell you I'm old? 1977. Steve's tremendous nuclear strength saves the day. And I just thought it was kind of interesting. He was selling stuff half price to 75% off. But like I said, the store closed. I just figured last time I did look around, and oh my gosh, there were so many fun things, but I can't get away with everything. So I put that in my proud pile of stuff. I did stop at Heroic Games. He's always doing fun things. Just a constant influx of stuff. I did notice he had 4 boxes of comics. 2 of them were $1.99 each. Buy 5 for $5. So I went through and I picked up some fun stuff, just things to read. Some of it will probably show up on eBay's, but I found like a copy of Dork Tower number 19. Dork Tower is, excuse me a second while I whip this out.
Woo!
Hey now. Yes, we are working, striving to be incident-free since, at least 3 minutes ago. Dork Tower. There it is. It's a kind of like a gaming type magazine. John Korvalik. He took on the Strange Worlds of Gamers, which was this was actually his first foray into comic book publishing. He self-published it from 98 to 2005. And it follows Matt, Igor, Ken, Carson, the Muskrat from a strip he did earlier called Wildlife. And, of course, that's the one that has I can't remember her name, the Perky Goth. And this one I picked up just because it is fortified with Lethargic Lad, 3 Geeks, PvP. Dark Tower is a fun thing to read if you like comics, if you like games, definitely worth picking up. Some Apple Comics, Vietnam Journal, a few Ace editions from Wizard, something called Zombie Highway. It said Wizard World 04. A really, really beat up copy of Green Hornet number 1, the gold key one, but the photo's intact, so that's kind of fun. Supermarket from IDW, issue 1, a little beat up, but I've never read it, so I imagine I'll do a review. Or I may have read it. I don't know. It's kind of a deja vu thing. And then I picked up from Spire Christian Comics, On the Road with Andre Crouch. No idea what that is. But for $1 a piece, why not? It was just fun. I looked around. He's got tons of stuff. He's got Transformers. He's got a lot of Star Wars toys. I was leaving, and I saw... Corey, that's the sound of a laugh-in tin trash can. I mean, 1968 this thing dates from, and it's got on the back, "Suck it to me," and very interesting. And then it's got the walls with the people on it, like, they waste water, Goldie Hawn and Joanne Worley. How do you make Maltese cross? Just silly stuff. And I mean, I was talking with the guy a little bit and said, I go to a lot of these shops and I come in and I see things instantly that you just don't see anywhere. And that caught my eye. And, I said, I bought it. I said, who knows? I'll probably put it on eBay tomorrow because I have a tendency of buying stuff and what the hell, turning around and going, ugh, I shouldn't have bought that. No geeking is complete, and this was more of a micro geek because it was just a big circle from the airport. I did stop over at the source, looked around. They have in the back of their store, at least 4 or 5. Well, they're bookcases full of graphic novels. They must have gone through and purged their graphic novels. So if you're looking for half-price books and good stuff, not just we're getting rid of this one because nobody wants it. I would definitely stop back at the source. Not only there, but then they have a portion in the middle of the store where they did the same thing with their manga. So definitely worth picking out. I did pick up some stuff, mostly just oddball things to read that I'll review in the future. Did not find what I'm looking for. I'm still missing a Heroes in Crisis number 5. They did not have it on the shelves. They didn't know where they probably have it. They just didn't know where it went. Because they still had a big stack of 8 and 9. Looks like they went through and majorly cleaned out the shelves and just made it so it's more presentable because a lot of older back issues are gone. Did not find the Leviathan. I did see that, like I said, the Marvel Comics Presents 5, and part of me was like, nah, skip it. I don't really care. If I do care, I'll pick it up in a graphic novel or look at it later. Just like I talked about the Return of Wolverine when we did our review episode. It goes into Wolverine Infinity Gauntlet where they explain why there were so many Wolverines popping up here and there and how he was using the Infinity Stones and didn't know it. I did find the complete run, but as I was looking at it, I was like, you know what? I don't think I care. So I decided to buy something else. I did have a nice talk with, and I hope she forgives me because I think her name was Haley. And we both talked. I said, we're terrible with names. She noticed because I have one of 2 that I know of, source discount cards that never expires, given to me by Nick and Bob because when I shut down Crazy Comics, we worked really hard with Nick and Bob to try to get as many of my subscribers either over to them or at least situated somewhere else. Because Nick was of the opinion, and I think he's right, once somebody loses their local comic store, they more than likely will stop buying comics. We're lucky in the Twin Cities because we got oodles of comic stores to choose from. But I don't... anyways, that's how I got the card. She thought it was funny. Never seen it before. And I said, as far as I know, I think there's 2. The other one was given away like in an anniversary contest. And I don't even know if that guy even shops here anymore. So... delightful person to talk with. So I really look forward to seeing her again. Of reading, because, we do like to read comic books. I did read the New Teen Titans Volume 10. This is finished. I think this might be finishing the Marv Wolfman run. Although there might be more to it because it ends kind of on a cliffhanger. It also goes through Crisis on Infinite Earths, and again, if you weren't reading Crisis, you won't really know what the hell they're talking about because it's just they just kind of do a few fill-ins and things like that. Main story takes place as the Red Skies are going on. So they did do the annual number 1 where they introduced the Vanguard, which might be their only appearance as far as I know. I do remember buying tons of that issue because New Teen Titans were really hot, and did it tank? Because while it was written by Marv Wolfman, it was not drawn by George Perez. So, but again, the series goes on. I'm assuming there'll be a volume 11 eventually because it does end in a cliffhanger. I just for the hell of it pulled out my Marvel Visionaries, Walter Simon's The Mighty Thor run, and I notice, especially when I read things that I've read before, I just plow through these things. I read all 5 issues like in a course of 2 days. So, and I'm talking books, not just comics. Again, if you've never read this run, go pick it up. If you got yourself a Thor 337 holy cow, get that thing protected, because it's like first appearance of Beta Ray Bill, and it's probably upwards of $200-300 by now. I have no idea. Corey, did you pick up a copy of Pros and Comic Cons from Dark Horse?
No, I did not.
But you can borrow mine when I'm done with it. This is a fun book. They have apparently there was The Secret Love of Geeks, which was before this, and it's just it's filled with stories of comic shows and comic book conventions from the guests who attend them. You got Brian Michael Bendis, Amy Chu, Tina Howard. Some of it's in comic form, some of it's in prose. Just a lot of fun, and this is a brilliant idea. I just having a blast reading it, and like I said, I'll have to look for the other ones. There's Secret Love of Geeks, and I think there's one with a female bent to it. I'm not sure. And outside of comic books, Corey, did you ever read The Daily Show, the book, an oral history as told by Jon Stewart, the correspondent, staff, and guests?
Why, yes, I have.
Oh, then I don't have to give you this copy. That apparently I liked it so much I bought two. Fortunately, they were from they're in the bargain price bins at Barnes and Noble for $7.98 as opposed to $30. This is one of those books when it came out I tried to get from the library and was unsuccessful. But for $8, it's a lot of fun reading. So I do have what do you call it? Sales receipt. So I will return the duplicate one. At the same time, I was there to buy the Howard Stern one. And I also had a 40% off coupon, but when they're doing 40% off because it was a new book, and I get 10% because I'm part of the book club. So I picked up the Howard Stern book. I read his foreword on it. I haven't read any of the interviews. And if you're a Howard Stern fan, definitely pick it up. Brilliant book. Matter of fact, he recommends throwing away the other two books he wrote and just stick with this one.
Now, I'm going to point out something here. The older fans actively hate this book.
Really? Oh, yeah. I can see why.
It's basically him going over the interviews he's done and talking about why he has changed how he does his show. Now, I listen to Stern. There are times when I don't need to hear another Seth Rogen hour-and-a-half interview about how much he loves pot.
Yeah.
But you get the interview with, say, Paul McCartney, and it's amazing. And then the next episode, the next day, it's we're going to talk about Ronnie Munn, the limo driver's weird sex habits, and they'll riff on that for a while. Or that's, we've got all these funny clips we haven't used. We're going to do a whole show of that. It's not the same show it was 25 years ago because it shouldn't be. We've got tons of people now doing that show. The Twin Cities has at least 3 people doing that show. Mm-hmm. He's doing other stuff because he's on satellite radio. When he first got to satellite radio, it's let's see how outrageous we could get. And it gets to the point where if you've been outrageous and outrageous and outrageous, it becomes deadening. It's kind of like when back in the late 90s when you watch wrestling and everybody was bleeding and everybody was taking 20 chair shots to the head. And they finally, first off, it hurt people, but then they went way back on it so that when it does happen, you're like, holy crap. Less is more. And the interviews, if it's somebody who... I don't like when he has the same people on over and over and over again. Like, what's her name? Chelsea Handler. I do without another hour-and-a-half interview with Chelsea Handler. You've done 6 or 7 of those. But when you get somebody new in, when you get somebody you haven't heard a lot, there are times I will listen to every Robert Downey Jr. interview because Robert Downey Jr. is a fascinating person. He's lived a very rich life, and no matter how many times he's on, there's always something new, always something amazing. But it's not the same show. So when he says, throw out that old stuff, he's kind of embarrassed about what he used to be like. Because he's been in therapy, and he's 65 years old. If I'm the same person at 65 that I was at 30, that's not good. It's not good.
Although we'll probably still be doing the podcast.
Yeah, but it'll be different.
Yeah, that's true. Although, I did listen to a couple of the early ones. We pretty much doing the same. I mean, we're talking about different stuff, but we're pretty much the same.
Yeah, we've got a format.
Yeah, and there are a lot of older bits that we just don't do anymore because we kind of ran out of stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
Like I know I'll be talking. We're gonna have to figure out when to podcast next week, and because I've already got a date.
Oh, you're going to the big Trump rally on July 4th in Washington, D.C.?
Even if I was, I would skip it because Stranger Things 3 is going to be on Netflix streaming.
Oh, okay.
And although I'm going to be working overtime on Saturday. On Sunday, my wife and I are going to shoot through. However, we're going to just binge watch it all. We've never binge watched everything of a show. We've always watch a few and then we stop, and then we thought, you know what, we're just going to clear the schedule, get some frozen pizzas. Hell, we might even heat them up and just watch the whole thing.
Oh, to heck with frozen pizzas. Just eat Eggo waffles.
Now you're talking my language. So I may be busy, or maybe I'll get up like we did before at 9 a.m. if you're home, and we'll just do it early, and then when we're done, watch me some Stranger Things. And then the following podcast, I'll geek about it. We'll figure it out. This is behind-the-scenes stuff you people don't have to worry about. What you do have to worry about, Cory, what you geeking on?
The one good thing about me doing the overnights way up in Maple Grove, Minnesota, actually it's Owatonna. They lied. Everybody's lying to me this week, Joe.
Is there a comic shop down there? Hang on,
I don't know.
I will figure it out.
It's up there. It's on the way to St. Cloud.
Owatonna's south.
Then what is just north of Maple Grove?
St. Michael's?
Osseo? I don't know. I know it's no longer Maple Grove when I get there. But anyway, because it's so far up north,
Monticello?
45 minutes, I can't come home and get ready for work. So instead, I just go to the gym right next to my job. And I will say, what was that?
Otsego?
That could be. I don't know.
Rogers? St. Michael's? Albertville?
It's where 494 and 694 meet and become 94.
That's Maple Grove. Still Maple Grove. It's a pretty big area.
Yeah. Anyway.
Osseo.
That's it. Osseo.
Found it. Not that we want to offend our 3 fans in Osseo. They're probably screaming. They're listening. It's Osseo, you idiot! Osseo!
But I am going to the gym for about an hour before work. And I'll say this. When I get to work, I'm not as exhausted. I'm more awake. I'm more alert. Would I rather have the extra hour sleep? Hell yes, I'd rather have the extra hour sleep. But I do enjoy the fact that I'm going to the gym before work. And I will keep that up until the 2 weeks is up, and then screw that. I had my box day this week. And the one book that I've been reading is the Realist cartoons. The Realist was kind of a ground level newspaper / magazine from the late 50s up until the early 2000s by Paul Krasner. And it was kind of the first of the counterculture satire magazines. It had tons of early work by S. Clay Wilson and Skip Williamson and R. Crumb, but it also, Joe, you've seen Wally Wood's The Disneyland Orgy, right? That very famous huge drawing he did of the Disney characters all having sex with each other. Joe?
I'm Googling it. Just get back off my case.
Oh, you haven't seen it before?
No.
Oh, it's kind of famous. It got him in a lot of trouble, and it was published in The Realist. The other comic thing that I am geeking on, if you head on over to cheapgraphicnovels.com, which is one of the websites I enjoy, they got in a whole bunch of Marvel Essentials that they were selling for $4.99. And there's some of the later ones, like the last two Fantastic Four ones, the last two Avengers ones. So I went ahead and ordered the ones I didn't have, and one or two of the ones I do have that I've been reading an awful lot because the spine is cracked. But
So
they also
drop that website one more time.
cheapgraphicnovels.com. They had a Black Friday sale last year that actually started in September, where when Marvel and DC emptied out their warehouses, they bought a ton of that stuff. Well, now once a week they're going to have a new spotlight. This week's spotlight was on the Jonathan Hickman stuff that he did at Image. So there's where more of my money's going to go. And the last thing I am geeking on, now that the group home has closed the facility in Victoria, the bonus that I was promised in January of 2018 will be paid out to me in 2 weeks. Oh, wait, I already bought my big screen TV.
Yep. But we are going to go geeking.
Yeah, there is. So I'll have that money for our world tour. Believe it or not, kids, you've listened to us blather on about funny books for an hour and a half.
And if you didn't, we'd probably still be doing this podcast.
And as we say every week, the comic we like the least, we still like better than the comic that you like the most. Joe?
Cory, you've heard the big news from Sir Patrick Stewart?
That he's doing a new Star Trek series? Yes.
Oh, no, that's so yesterday. So yesterday. No, they're going to come out with Patrick Stewart's Cowboy Classics. And he's gonna reach in and because I know how much you love Patrick Stewart and I know how much you love country music, and I gotta tell you, yeah, it was, as you probably aware, Patrick Stewart's Cowboys Classic were sold out on his website. It was a 5-song sampler, but you can still get copies of it on Amazon, eBay's, or download it, because if you do download it, all proceeds will benefit the International Rescue Committee. That is, he did this initially because as a fundraiser for them. They're basically they respond to the world's worst humanitarian crisis. They help people whose lives and livelihood have been shattered. In 2018 alone, they provided 1.6 million children with schooling and education. Over 20,000 people participated in awareness-raising sessions on government-related topics. They supported over 25,000 village savings and loan association programs. And they work in the United States as well. They've served over 9,000 people with economic empowerment programs. They've assisted over 2,000 children and parents in their asylum seeking in the U.S., which is a big, big mess right now. If you want to donate to them, you can directly. Just go to www.rescue.org, and you can find all the information, what they're doing, how they're doing it. You can also just go to iTunes or wherever you download your links and get the 5-song. It's hard to explain how Patrick Stewart takes country music and makes it his own. So you can either go, it's at store.cdbaby.com and just look for Patrick Stewart with all the proceeds going to help the IRC, or you could just listen in and decide for yourself. Cory, I've actually got here a copy of this here CD, and I thought we'd give a listen to it. Here's number 3 off his album, Cowboy Classics,